আজকে we're going to talk about basically key refraction and refraction on actually we're going to be talking about lenses. So lenses করার সাথে there's a little bit of refraction we have to talk about যেটা না করলে lenses হয় না, because basically lenses at the end of the day what they do is they basically refract light. ঠিক আছে, that's all they do. So lenses থেকে তোমাদের কি লাগবে দেখো. Describe the action of a thin converging lens on a beam of light. Use the term principal focus and focal length. এছাড়া আরো কয়েকটা টার্ম বলবো. Draw ray diagrams for the formation of a real image by a single lens. Describe the nature of an image using terms enlarged, same size, diminished, upright, inverted. Draw and use ray diagrams for the formation of virtual image by a single lens. Use and describe the use of a single lens as a magnifying glass, and show understanding in terms of real image and virtual image. Alright? So this is the stuff we're going to do. Okay, so let's start with the very basics first. So first of all, we have to talk about refraction for a little bit. So আমরা কি জানি? What is refraction? বলো তো very easily. What is refraction? It is bending of a wave when it passes from one medium to another, right? Yeah. So এখানে তুমি যদি এরকম যদি থাকে তাহলে how would we show refraction here? Basically this would be the normal, more or less. And then it's going to bend like this, right? Ugly diagram, but like, you know, I think you guys get it. So ekhane important thing to say this is air and this is glass. So that basically means this is light. So when light travels through an optically more dense medium like glass, what that means is it's going to slow down. So when it slows down, তখন গিয়ে যেটা হবে, it will bend towards the normal. ঠিক আছে? So this is what's happening to this ray. এখানে এই অ্যাঙ্গেলটা দেখো, this angle is called the incident angle. আর এই অ্যাঙ্গেল যেটা, this is called the refracted angle. So refracted angle, if you're traveling from optically less dense to more dense, then what's going to happen is it will bend towards the normal. Is this clear to everyone? So really simple stuff. এখন এইটার এই কনসেপ্টেরই একটা progression হইতেছে, what you guys have studied as the concept of dispersion. Dispersion কি শিখছো? That you can have a beam of light and it passes onto the surface of a prism. এখানে গিয়ে কি হয়? What's going to happen when it hits here? It will split, right? If it's polychromatic light, মানে white light basically means what? It's made of different wavelengths. So that splits, right? So এটা split করে অনেকগুলা কালার হয়ে যায়, এখানে আবার split করে, right? All of these sort of things. So এখন for example এরকম করে it bends here, it bends towards the normal a little bit, একটু bend করবে, আবার এইখানে এসে আবার তোমার normal আছে, blah blah blah, it bends a little more এইদিকে, right? So এই জিনিসটা. So this is basically the concept of refraction and we use it to do dispersion, right? So dispersion এর ক্ষেত্রে কি হতো, তখন গিয়ে ধরো তোমার এরকম আরেকটা স্প্লিট হইতো, এখানে আরেকটা স্প্লিট হইতো, এরকম করে যেত, where obviously এইখানে you would get red. ঠিক আছে, red represents what? The longest wavelength, যেটা bend করে সবচেয়ে কম, আর এখানে you'd get violet which bends the most, right? So এখানে তুমি যদি স্ক্রিন দাও তুমি কি পাইতা, এখান থেকে শুরু করে রয় জিবি পুরোটা. Does this make sense? এরকম করে হইতো, this has the longest wavelength and this has the shortest wavelength. So shortest wavelengths bend the most and longest wavelengths bend the least. So okay, এটা just বললাম because there's a little bit of this related to lenses, but yeah, dispersion of high.
So what's the difference between refraction and dispersion?
Refraction is the process which occurs during dispersion, and dispersion, we call it dispersion because it basically disperses the white light into different colors. So if you were to do this with monochromatic light money হইতেছে কি, one wavelength or one frequency. Don't say one color because that's not, like, you know, accurate. So it's better you say one wavelength or one frequency that I do. So yeah, so এখন what we'll do is we'll have to use the concepts of refraction to move forward. So say for example we take a prism, right, and we pass a beam of light, monochromatic light at it. কি হবে? It's supposed to go straight. একটু বাঁকায় ফেলেছি, so তখন কি একটু এরকম bend করবে, right, when it hits here, and then what's going to happen here, it's going to bend আর একটু এদিকে. Does this make sense?
Yes.
All right, so তারপরে say we take another piece of we take another piece of glass and we place it like this. There's একটু এই সাইডগুলো একটু বাঁকা, ঠিক আছে, something like this. এখন what's going to happen when এইরকম একটা parallel আরেকটা beam hit করে, it will bend also, but it won't bend as much as this piece of glass. ঠিক আছে, এখানে কিন্তু refraction হচ্ছে, this is going to bend it, but the bending is going to be less. তখন কি what are you going to get? You're going to get some sort of bending which actually takes it এইরকম করে. Is this making sense? তারপরে let's say we take a rectangular piece of glass. So I'm really bad at this. Say we take a rectangular piece of glass, এদিকে কি হবে? It would cause the light to go undeviated. right?
Yeah.
আবার ধরো আমরা আরেকটা piece of glass নিলাম like this, right? Basically এটার উল্টা, তাহলে কি হবে? ওই সেম এই সাইডে কিন্তু খেয়াল করো, all these rays are parallel, or at least I'm trying to draw the parallel. তারপরে কি হবে? তারপরে এটা একটু bend করবে এখানে, আবার আরেকটু bend করবে, এরকম যাবে. And we can take another piece which is like the end piece of the other side, এরকম একটা sharp angle along, and this is going to bend like this. So what we get is খেয়াল করো, because of how we're placing the pieces of glass, because of how we're placing the pieces of glass, what's happening is they're all focusing at one point. Does this make sense? So it's not like lenses have some sort of magic property or something which makes the light obey their command. So but it's not like the glass has some sort of special property which makes the light bend. But basically what happens is they all meet at one point, and the reason is because of the shape of the glass. So glass or erokom bits thake na, basically erokom, it's one combined piece of glass like this, where the curvature of the glass determines how much it's going to bend the light. Is this clear to everyone? Alright, so this is the basic concept of a lens. Alright, so এখন we can't work with this diagram একটু বেশি খারাপ হয়ে গেছে. If we were to say simplify this into a nicer diagram, and okay, let's try drawing it actually. So say we draw a straight line, and এখানে মাঝখানে একটা পয়েন্টে I draw a lens. This is the nicest lens I can draw. I guess that's going to work. Alright, so we need to know a couple of things about lenses. First of all, সব লেন্সের একটা geometric center থাকে, ঠিক আছে, which is this point. Let's call this O. So what is O? What do you call O? কেউ বলতে পারবা?
Optical center.
Very good. We call this the optical center. So what's special about the optical center? Can anyone tell me? Optical center speciality হচ্ছে, obviously it's the geometric center of the lens. And the thing that happens is any beam of light which passes through the optical center does not bend. বুঝছো? একদম এই দিক থেকে এরকম ঢুকলে একদম সোজা এরকম যাবে, এদিক থেকে ওইরকম ঢুকলে একদম এরকম যাবে. Do you get it? এরকম আসলে একদম এরকম যাবে. So there is no bending of any beam of light which passes through the optical center. Right? এটা গেল. তারপরে we have the lens plane, মানে basically এটা. So this is basically what I'm trying to draw is the midline of the lens. To simplify diagrams, ঠিক আছে, আমরা এখানে যেটা একটু আগে যেটা দেখাইছিলাম, what did I show? The light actually bends once here and bends again here, right? Once entering the lens, once leaving the lens. So এইটা তুমি যদি প্রত্যেকটা ডায়াগ্রাম ওইরকম করে দেখাইতে যাও, it becomes a little too problematic. So what we do is we usually bend it from the midplane. ঠিক আছে? That wasn't clear. All right. A line which is perpendicular to the principal axis, plane of the lens and optical center, is called the principal axis. So this is our principal axis. At towards the bookshop. Right. Really simple. All right. There's a couple of things you have to know. এখন যে পয়েন্টটা বলতেছি, this is really, really important. If you take a beam of light, ঠিক আছে, so this is supposed to be a beam of light, and it's traveling parallel to the principal axis, তখন কি হবে? This will bend. ঠিক আছে, এখান থেকে we can simplify it and bend it from the lens plane, right? This will bend, and which way will it bend? It will bend towards the focal point. It will actually pass through the focal point. So what is this focal point? মানে basically what's going to happen is, ধরো এখানে একটা পয়েন্ট আঁকলাম, এই বিমটা এখান থেকে প্যারালাল যেটা আঁকছি, এটা তোমার এই বিমটা এখান থেকে, it will pass straight through the focal point. বুঝছো? So what about if I draw a ray from here? তখন কি হবে? Always draw arrows, ঠিক আছে, because they represent the direction of the light. It's important. এখান থেকে তুমি যদি আঁকো, you're going to get the same thing. This will also have to pass through the focal point. Any beam of light parallel to the principal axis will always pass through the focal point. Doesn't matter. বুঝছো? সে কোন distance বা কতটুকু height থেকে আসতেছে না আসতেছে, none of that matters. What does matter is if it's parallel to the principal axis or not. If it is, it will pass through the focal point on the other side of the lens. That too clear?
Yes.
Alright. So এই যে planeটা, ঠিক আছে, এই যে distanceটা from the optical center to the focal point, এই distanceটা basically এটাকে বলা হয় হচ্ছে the focal length. Alright? Is everyone getting this?
Yes.
Really easy. So it is a focal length. So the thing about the focal length is it's basically the distance from the optical center to the focal point, and that's a focal length over a pasho. You're going to have a point which is equidistant from it. And a point কি represent করতেছে is the same thing. তোমার যদি ওই পাশ থেকে, এখানে কিন্তু very important একটা জিনিস আছে, খেয়াল করো, ওই পাশ থেকে যদি parallel beam of light আসে, So একদম এরকম ঠিক আছে it will behave exactly the same. It's going to pass straight through the focal point. This gives us another point কিন্তু দেখো any beam of light which passes through the focal point on this side will become parallel. So মানে কি আমরা arrow দিয়ে এদিকে দেখাইছি না, we can also show arrows from this side. ঠিক আছে, light follow this rule. It's called the law of reversibility of light, and it shows that the light will travel এরকম ঠিক আছে। So principal axis দিয়ে ধরো একটা ray যাচ্ছে, এটা দিয়ে যাচ্ছে, optical center দিয়ে যাচ্ছে, bend হচ্ছে না। So you get this. So all of these points together, they all create এরকম একটা parallel beam after passing through the focal point. Is everyone clear on this? So the terms that you need to know. Number one, যেটা বললাম optical center. তারপর হইতেছে focal point. ঠিক আছে? So focal point কি? How could you define the focal point?
The point where
all the light converges.
No, that's too vague. You have to say it is a point at which parallel beams of light will meet. ঠিক আছে? What if it's not parallel to the beam, parallel to the principal axis? তখন কি হবে? Say I draw two rays like this. ইচ্ছা করে, oops, আচ্ছা এটা ইচ্ছা করে করি। ইচ্ছা করে say I draw a beam of light which is traveling like this, and another beam of light which is traveling like this. So they're parallel to each other. Are they parallel to the principal axis? No. But what will happen is both of these will also bend. Both of these will also bend. And they will bend in such a manner that they will both meet. Okay, this isn't working. So both of them will meet along a point. Do you get it? On the focal plane. So the focal plane is basically a distance focal length from the optical plane. Does this make sense?
I did not get this.
Acha, abar boli. So you have two rays which are parallel to each other but not parallel to the principal axis. আমরা কি বলছিলাম? Parallel to the principal axis হলে it will pass through the focal point. Parallel to each other হলে they will intersect each other on the focal plane, anywhere on this plane. এটা তো focal point হওয়া তো সম্ভব না, so এটার focal plane এর মধ্যে হবে এইটাই। Does this make sense, guys? সাসাবেল বুঝছো?
Sir, focal length stays same.
For if you don't change the shape of the glass, yeah, the focal length must stay the same.
Depends on the shape of the glass.
Yeah, if the glass is more thick, মাঝখানে যদি আরো মোটা হয়, focal point usually আরো কাছে চলে আসে because it bends it more significantly, right? Does this make sense to everyone? আচ্ছা, so optical center হলো, focal point হলো, ঠিক আছে, এই দুই পাশে থাকে কিন্তু, ঠিক আছে, আঁকার সময় it's best if you draw it on both sides. এটা গেল। তারপর you have the focal plane, যেটা বুঝছো সবাই আশা করি, PLANE, and we have the optical plane. When we bend rays, we usually bend it from the optical plane. Alright, guys? Alright, really simple, easy stuff. So these are the basics that you need to know about the structure and design of a lens. Now, how do we draw ray diagrams? This is the important part that তোমরা সবাই really good at forgetting and messing up. So again, say this is our optical center. So simplify করার জন্য, you really don't actually have to even draw lenses. What you can do is you can just take এরকম করে আঁকলে this also represents a lens কিন্তু, ঠিক আছে? So চাইলে এরকমই আঁকতে পারো। So say আমরা এই যে equidistant করে আমরা দুই পাশে দুইটা focal পয়েন্টের ইয়ে রাখলাম, এটা by eye আমি আঁকতেছি। So say we put an object here. Alright, now here's an important thing. When you draw an object, একটা important জিনিস হইতেছে যে we usually draw it as an arrow, and arrow vector direction, this should represent the top of an object. So objects এরকম draw করি আমরা to simplify things, but the thing is, why do we even draw it like this? The concept here is it's easy to understand the length of the object, and also to understand which end is up, which end is down. That's why you draw objects like this. Actually, an object can easily be anything. It can be a pen, it can be a coin, it can be a beam of, like, a light shining off something, reflecting off something. তোমাদের জন্য usually what they do is physics experiments এর জন্য what they do is they take a piece of paper or cardboard and they cut a small triangle in it. তারপরে এটার উপরে they place a wire mesh. You get it? And behind it they place a light source. So this is basically it's like a ray box. Basically box এর ভিতরে এরকম একটা light source রাখা হয়. Usually experiment এর মধ্যে এরকম হয়. So the mesh itself, the triangle, is the illuminated object. This is really easy to work with, কেন? Because focus করতে হলে you just move it back and forth, ঠিক আছে? মানে lens move করলা বা screen move করলা, very easily focus করা যায়, sharp lines. And also the direction of the triangle খুব easily বোঝা যায় if it's been turned upside down or not, ঠিক আছে? So এটাকে বলা হয় কি inverted, right? We'll talk about those things also diminished, magnified, inverted green and all these things. Alright, now here is the most important part of optics. এই একটা জিনিস তুমি যদি জানো, you're pretty good, done with optics. যেটা জানতে হবে, how do you draw rays from the object? Usually as a standard, we draw it from the top of the object. And wherever they will meet again, that will be the top of the image. Does that make sense to everyone? Top of the object to top of the image. So the top of the image will be when the rays from the object meet again. So object থেকে চাইলে তুমি কিন্তু ray সব direction ই আঁকতে পারো, ঠিক আছে, because light literally reflects off in all directions. For example, if you hold a pen in front of you, তাহলে এই পেনটা কি, you can see it from all directions, right? What does that mean? Light is reflecting off it and coming to you from literally all directions. You can see every bit of the pen and you can see it from every angle. বুঝছো? So এরকম technically there's like infinite directions from which you can have these rays to be drawn from it. তোমার যে জায়গায় ইচ্ছা ওইখান থেকে আঁকতে পারো, but আমরা স্ট্যান্ডার্ডাইজ করার জন্য আমরা যেটা করছি, we draw it from the top of the object. দেখো ওই আগেটাই যেটা বলছিলাম, there are two rules, তাই না? We can simplify this into two rules. কি কি? You can draw a ray which is passing through the optical center, and you can draw a ray which is parallel to the principal axis. We kind of know what's going to happen to both of those rays, তাই না? কি হবে বলো? What's going to happen to the ray when we pass it through the optical center? It will not bend. So it will have to pass through the optical center and it will not bend. So I guess this is long enough. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes.
Does everyone agree to this? This is rule number 1. Take a set. Rules to draw ray diagrams. Ray diagrams. And these are our rules. Rules number 1. A ray passes through the optical center. তাই না? তারপর কি হয়? Passes through the optical center, which does not bend. If you want, you can write that down. Which does not bend. So this is what we drew. Then we can draw arrows to show the direction of the light. Clear? Okay, rule number 2. Rule number 2 ke bolte parba?
If the ray of light is parallel to the principal axis.
Very good. Parallel to the principal axis.
Passes through the focal point.
Yes, after crossing the lens.
Yeah.
Passes focal point after lens. Yes, my handwriting is not so good, but I guess you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So that means আমি এইখান থেকে, my bad again. That means আমরা এইখান থেকে we draw a ray which should go like this. So again, by judgment from I can say that this is parallel to the principal axis, right? Then what I do is from here I will have to bend it. ঠিক আছে? And I will bend it. It doesn't matter এখানে কই টাচ করতেছে না করতেছে, it doesn't matter. আমার দেখতে হবে এখানে কি হইতেছে. So it must pass through the focal point, which should be something like this. এইখানে the rays are meeting again. So last meet করছিল এইখানে, আর এইখানে আবার meet করতেছে. So এটা কি? This is your
Image. Top of the image.
This is the top of the image, but the image, খেয়াল করো, it's now on the other side of the optical, other side of the principal axis, তাই না? So which way would you draw the arrow? You're going to draw it downwards. Does this make sense? So if you draw it downwards, তাহলে কি হইতেছে? এই. So এখন এইখান থেকে again you should draw arrows to show the direction of the light. So we can say a couple of properties of the image. কি কি properties থাকবে ইমেজে বলতে পারবা? Number 1. The image is what? Inverted. Alright? So whenever we say an image is inverted, that means it's an arrow উল্টা গেছে। এখানে কিন্তু একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট জিনিস আছে। What if my object started like this? এরকম যদি object যদি এরকম উল্টা হইতো, তাহলে কি হইতো? এরকম হইতো। Is this inverted or upright? Wrong. This is also inverted. The thing is, if the arrows are on two opposite sides of the lens, তখন গিয়ে they are inverted. Upright হবে if they're both on the same side. Like this is upright. What's up? But this is also upright. It happens. Can happen. It does happen. It's upright. Inverted with this eta when they're on opposite sides. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Usually আমরা এই সাইডে upright রাখি, এর জন্য এই সাইড উল্টাই দেই, এর জন্য আমরা inverted করি. Number 2, like for example, when you watch movies, they use projectors, right? So projector case কি করা হয়? Projector, the object is actually inverted, so that when it's projected onto the screen, it becomes upright. So even in your eyes, images are upside down on your retina. They're created upside down on your retina. Your brain is smart enough to turn it upside up. So yeah, you're supposed to know that. If we look at the image, it appears that the image is slightly larger than the object, right? So you can say that the image is magnified. You have to measure this using a scale. Scale বসায় তারপর এটা মাপতে হবে আর এই পাশে এখান থেকে একটু মাপতে হবে মাপার পরে then you see it, and the ratio of this, when you say this is y and this is x, right? So the ratio of y by x is basically linear magnification. Have you heard of the term? So this is called linear magnification. So this is the second magnification. Yes.
So what's the difference between magnified and enlarged?
It's the same. You can write enlarged, yeah. However, diminished is the opposite of magnified, right? Smaller. Minified. Point number 3. The image is a real image, right? So the image is a real image. Now, a real virtual নিয়ে কিছু ব্যাপার-স্যাপার আছে, আমি just short করে বলে ফেলি. How do we define something real or virtual? So the definition goes that real is something which you can project onto a screen, and virtual is something which you cannot project onto a screen. So এটা বুঝতেও সামান্য সমস্যা হয় মানুষের. So another way of saying it would be or understanding it is, if you take a mirror, mirror সামনে তুমি যদি একটা object রাখো, what happens to the object? The light reflects off the surface of the mirror, and then you see the object, right? So your brain thinks the light is actually coming from here because your brain is really stupid. The brain is especially stupid. So so this would be your image, right? Ki Sabir khub offended hoye gelo. Anyway, so ekhane tomar image je jagay ache, image e ki hocche khayal korba that your brain thinks that the image is here. But if you go behind the mirror and if you were to put a white sheet of paper here, would you see the projected image? Impossible, because light actually doesn't go there. So this is the actual way of understanding it. A real image is where light actually travels. Do you get it? The light actually travels and actually meets here. That's why the image is created here. On the other hand, তুমি যদি চোখ দিয়ে দেখে তোমার যদি মনে হয় এইখানে, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে it's not actually here. Don't confuse real and virtual with কোনটা দেখা যায় আর কোনটা দেখা যায় না. দুইটাই কিন্তু দেখা যায়. ঠিক আছে? Very easily you can see both of them.
Is this virtual?
Which one?
This one, the projector is virtual.
What, this?
The projected thing.
Okay. What are we doing with the projector right now?
You can see it on the screen.
We're projecting it onto a screen. And how do we define a real image?
Can be projected on the screen.
So what would be your guess?
It's a real image.
Very good, very good. Keep it up. So, at 2% clear, guys? So this is the concept of inverted, magnified, and real. ঠিক আছে? Or virtual যদি হতো। এইগুলো না হয়, যদি inverted না হয় তো কি হতো? Upright হতো। Magnified না হয় কি হতো? Diminished. আর real না হয় কি হতো? Virtual. So now, let's come to an example where we actually don't get these properties, we get slightly different properties. So one of the diagrams that the examiners love to ask, it's one of their favorite, is if you draw, let's try drawing another lens. By lens oh my god, okay. This is a lens. So এটা ধরো focal length হইতেছে এতটুকু. Again, roughly I'm drawing this by eye. So focal length, let's place the object here now. ঠিক আছে? Say this is an arrow and we place it here. This is our object. So bear in mind, whenever you place an object less than the focal length, the behavior is different. More than the focal length, তো একটা idea দেখাইলাম. Less than the focal length কি হবে? খেয়াল করো। Nobody has to memorize these কিন্তু. All you have to do is follow these. তোমাদের কিন্তু জিজ্ঞেস করার সময় they ask you different positions. You don't have to memorize কোন পজিশনে কি হয় না হয়। এখানে what you have to do is very simple. What you have to do is follow the same rules. You draw one ray of light. You draw one ray of light which is passing again straight to the optical center, right? And again now the focal plane would be roughly around here, right? So you draw another ray of light parallel to the principal axis, which then passes through the focal point. এই আমার diagram অবশ্যই bending টা অত বেশি করা হয় নাই, but we'll try to work with this. So now what I'm going to do is, this is the point up to which you get the real image, right? Light actually travels along these paths. Kintu, what you have to see is the light doesn't necessarily, when we observe it from here, we don't, our brain doesn't process it to be coming from here. Our brain processes it to be coming from somewhere else. So, what would we see actually? If you were to pull this line along here, if we were to draw it from here, so this is where your brain is thinking the light is actually coming from. So if the red rays here, represents virtual rays. Ekta important জিনিস হইতেছে যে when you draw this, you don't have to give arrows. More importantly, you don't draw them with solid lines. We usually draw them with dotted lines to represent the rays are virtual. The light actually doesn't travel. So more or less, সোজা আঁকার চেষ্টা করছি. So the image that you're going to get from here is going to be what? What are the properties of the image? Number one, it's magnified. Right? It's magnified. Number two, it's upright. Upright keno buchho to? And it is virtual. Virtual keno? Because the rays of light which are actually traveling to the eye are not from the image. They're from the object being bent, and then it comes from here. Your brain assumes that the image is here. Is this clear? This is what happens whenever you place an object less than f. Is everyone clear on this? Alright. So yeah, you can place objects at different positions. You can place it less than f, you can place it at f. If you place it at f, the beams will be parallel to each other, they meet at infinite distance. ঠিক আছে? ওটা অবশ্যই তোমাদের দরকার নাই, তত বেশি আসে না। যেটা আসে হইতেছে f এর বেশি, and specifically if you put it at 2f. 2f এ রাখলে কি হয়? তখন গিয়ে the image is going to be also at 2f. ঠিক আছে? ওটা if you draw it তোমরা দেখবা 2f এ হবে, and the properties of the image is going to be what? Real, inverted. You don't have to have these memorized, just jana rakhle bhalo, but you can draw them, and it's same size, very good. So same size over, this only happens at 2f. Sometimes on a question paper practically জিজ্ঞেস করে যে object image same size হইছে আর object আর image এর মধ্যে 60 centimeters difference ছিল, so what is the focal length? So it is easy, 2f যদি হয় এদিকে 2f হইতেছে 30, এদিকে 2f হইতেছে আরো 30, that's how you got 60, right? So এটা অর্ধেক কত? 15 centimeters. Does that make sense? So যদি 15 centimeters হয়, that's the focal length of your lens. Is everyone clear on this?
Yes.
This is how we use ray diagrams to draw, we use rules to draw ray diagrams. আর এখানে যে ইম্পর্টেন্স যে জিনিসটা যতগুলো পয়েন্ট বলছি মোটামুটি হালকা পাতলা সবগুলাই বলছি, it is very very important that you remember that it is drawn by drawing two rays. The image is constructed using two rays, one passing through the optical center and another one passing through the focal point after traveling parallel to the principal axis before the lens. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Alright, আজকে একটু থাকুক, we're done. ঠিক আছে? You guys can go home.